call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. We'll do roll call. Do roll call.
Okay. Joanna Anderson. Dejan Kane. Dejan Kane. Tiquin Forbes.
Present.
Deborah Kwasikowicz.
Here, present.
Maya Rasdin. Vice Chair, you have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So we're looking at the approval of the minutes from the August 31st meeting. Oh, I'm filling in for the chair, so pardon me as I learn as I go along in his absence. So we need the approval of the agenda for today. Or adoption of the agenda. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we have adoption of the agenda. Now the approval for the minutes for August 31st. If you had a chance to review that. Are there any questions or edits for the minutes? None? All right. So we are approving the minutes for the August 31st meeting. Can I get a motion to approve that for the minutes for August 31st?
I motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, minutes for August 31st, 2022 approved. Now we move into public comment. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to say out in the audience? Any public commentary?
I'm assuming my name is Carrie Sadis. I should be on the roster to speak today. Do you guys have that in order and I'm not that general of a piece?
So generally, when we review cases, we'll call both parties if they have anything they want to comment. This is just for anybody else. We've had people in attendance who are not affiliated with any of the cases that we're reviewing, and they just sit in, and sometimes they want to make a public comment or something, giving them an opportunity rather than waiting to the end. And so that's why we've kind of designed it if anybody would like to. You don't have to. Okay. Since there's no public comment, we go on to the OEI Director's update.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just want to share that tonight we had a meet and greet with members of the HRB board meeting. That was very informative for me. We got a chance to know each other a little better and find out that we have similarities with each other in terms of our backgrounds and just historical context. So I'm excited that all the members here were present for that, and thank you to the OEI staff for helping us put that on tonight prior to tonight's meeting. So thank you, Vice Chair and members of the HRB board, for your attendance and your support.
Okay. So now we have any old business discussion items. We're looking at the case EOE-2022-15.
I did want to provide an update to the board on that case that was remanded for additional investigation. At this time, I'm still awaiting a response from the respondent, but I will keep the board abreast as soon as I have another update.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Now moving on to new business discussion items. We are looking at first case EO-E-2022-05.
Chair, the Equity and Inclusion Office has provided the members of the Human Rights Board a written report concerning complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-05. We have processed the complaint as required by Chapter 8 of the city's code. We are here today to report our findings as to whether reasonable cause exists to believe that an unlawful discriminatory practice has occurred in accordance with the City of Gainesville Code of Ordinances. Section 888, paren A, paren 4, and Section 8 E-2-93(1). We are now ready to report the results of our findings concerning complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-05.
Members of the board, thank you for your presence and participation. You've each received a copy of the final investigative report for complaint EO-E-2022-05 and had time to review the findings. I will now summarize the findings as it relates to this case. Complainant's allegations. Complainant believes respondents ignored her request to remain in the unit and have attempted to terminate her lease based on her status as a victim of domestic violence, dating violence, stalking. Complainant also believes respondents decided not to renew her lease as she had filed a complaint of discrimination against them and to continue discriminating against her. Respondent's position. Respondents denied claims that complainant was told she was being evicted due to holes in the unit's walls. No notice was given related to damage to the unit's walls. No eviction was filed against complainant. With regard to the non-renewal of lease, respondents stated they consider payment history, disturbance complaints, care of property, and cooperation by the tenant regarding the operation of the property when deciding whether to renew a tenant's lease. Complainant only met the timely payments criteria. For complainant to succeed in her claim of adverse terms and conditions based on her status as a victim of domestic violence, the investigation must establish the following. 1, the complainant is a member of protected class. 2, complainant was the respondent's tenant. 3, respondents imposed unfavorable or less favorable terms or conditions on the complainant's tenancy based on her protected class. 4, respondents did not impose such terms or conditions on similarly situated tenants not of the complainant's protected class. The first element was met as complainant is a victim of domestic violence. The second element was met as complainant signed a lease with respondents. With regards to the third element, complainant suffered adverse actions as she was given lease violations due to unauthorized occupants in her unit, and she was issued a non-renewal. Respondent provided evidence, court documents, to support claims that Mr. Gandy used complainant's address for court proceedings. Also, respondent allowed complainant to complete the full terms of her lease despite obtaining evidence of an unauthorized occupant. And after complainant stated she wanted to terminate her lease and then decided she wanted to remain in the unit. Also, complainant repeatedly left the unit unlocked despite respondent's request that she secure the property. Insufficient evidence was provided to support claims that the lease violations and non-renewal were due to complainant's membership in a protected class. Thus, this element was not met. Therefore, based on the foregoing, there is no reasonable cause to believe respondents violated the Code of Ordinance of Gainesville, Florida, Section 8-8884. In order for the complainant to succeed in a claim of retaliation, the investigation must establish the following. The complainant engaged in or attempted to engage in an activity protected by Article 5 of Chapter 8 of the Code of Ordinances of Gainesville, Florida. 2, respondent subject the claimant to an adverse action. 3, circumstantial evidence exists of a causal link between the protected activity and the adverse action. The first element was met as complainant engaged in a protected activity as she filed this discrimination complaint against respondents on November 4th, 2021. Second element was met as complainant was issued a non-renewal notice on February 8th, 2022. With regards to the third element, respondents stated they consider payment history, disturbance complaints, care of the property, and cooperation by the tenant regarding operation of the property when deciding whether to renew a tenant's lease. Complainant only met the timely payments criteria. Respondents provided copies of multiple lease violations issued to complainant during her tenancy. One other tenant has been non-renewed due to an unauthorized occupant, similar to the complainant, but no evidence was provided that they participated in a protected activity. There was insufficient evidence provided supporting a causal link between complainant's discrimination complaint and the non-renewal. Thus, the third element was not met. Therefore, based on the foregoing, there is no cause to believe respondents violated the Code of Ordinances of Gainesville, Florida, Section 8-93(1).
As indicated in our written report, we have determined that there is not sufficient information that would lead an impartial observer to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. If you do not believe that there is reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred, the Equal Opportunity Director must dismiss the complaint. You also have the discretion, this board, to by a 3/4 majority vote order such further investigation as deemed necessary. Thirdly, your decision should be based on the evidence of record. Chair, as required we have provided the board with evidence concerning our investigation of complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-05. You must now make a determination based upon that investigation and the evidence of record.
Thank you. Members of the board, you've had the opportunity to read the investigative report concerning the complaint of discrimination, EOE-2022-05, and heard the summary of that report provided by the compliance investigator. What questions, if any, do you have concerning the report? A reminder that any questions from board members should be directed to the chair. Does anyone have any questions concerning the case? No?
No questions.
No questions? Okay. If there are parties of interest, the complainant or the respondent, offer you privileges of the floor to speak at this time, that we limit the amount of debate when occasion warrants, but just limits shall be equal for all parties. Each party has the floor for 3 minutes. Is there anyone here to speak for this case? No?
Attorney Williamson? Did you want to speak? Can't hear you.
I think we have to join audio.
I didn't join on
In the bottom left, does it not say that?
Oh, click to join audio. Is that his or ours?
Let's try. Yeah, I gotta mute that part. I'm not sure what's going on. Is someone in there broadcast?
Try it now. You turn your mic off. See if it helps.
Attorney Williamson?
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to take up too much time, but I think the report accurately states the evidence my client presented that Mr. Gandy was residing in the unit, and that was the basis for the notices that my client gave. Additionally, the reasons for the non-renewal of the lease are accurately stated. Just elaborate a bit that the complainant continually left her unit, not just unsecured, but the door open while she was absent from the apartment, oftentimes while she was at work, which created a hazard to both my client's property, a danger to complainants and other residents. I'll leave it unsecured, and actually complained that my client secured the property when it was left open. So, along with the other reasons, my client felt it was necessary not to do her. And again, the evidence presented regarding the basis for the lease violations didn't relate to any domestic violence incident related to Mr. Gandy residing in the unit, and she was allowed to continue through the term of the lease. Thank you.
We are now ready to vote. I'm reminding the board that they may only consider evidence of record. Equal opportunity for others to determine that there is not sufficient evidence or information that would lead an impartial observer to believe that a discriminatory practice had occurred. You should vote aye if you agree that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. Thank you. You should vote nay if you believe that further investigation is deemed necessary. The board shall specify the areas of further investigation if by a 3/4 majority vote. So further investigation is deemed necessary. So all those who agree that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred, say aye.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, this is the motion.
I motion to accept the compliance office's findings.
Okay. We don't need a second for a motion.
I can second that. I'll second the
You
motion.
second? All right, the board has voted that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. Thank you.
The board has determined that no reasonable cause to believe that discriminatory practice has occurred, and I shall dismiss the complaint. This concludes today's business as it relates to complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-05.
Okay, on to the second case. It's EOE-2022-07. Wanted to mention that there perhaps might be a conflict of interest, as I've been a long-standing resident of the apartment complex in question. So in order to be, and I want to say use the word safe, but probably fair, in doing that, we're going to postpone this case since we just found about it, since I read about it today in the cases that were provided for this afternoon, and then refer it to next month so we can have our attorney refer it to the Florida Ethics Board and make sure there's no conflict of interest with me residing, being a long-term resident of the apartment complex, and participating in a vote if necessary. So, did that explain that correctly, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, you would have, we just made a forum, so she would be a deciding vote regardless of how the vote went. So that's.
So, Michelle, do you mind elaborating again what she said so they can hear you?
So, sure, let me take my mask.
I'm so sorry, it's very difficult to hear.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So we just made quorum, so we only have 4 members here. And one of our board members is a long-term resident of the responding party. And so she would have to participate in the vote regardless of how the vote went. And so she is not sure whether there's a conflict of interest that exists. So I will contact the Florida Ethics Board so we can clear that up and have an opinion either way. So then we can move forward either having an additional member present at next month's meeting or having a determination by the Ethics Board that there is or is not a conflict of interest. That she's a long-term resident of the respondent, so she has a relationship with them.
So in this particular case, is it with Honors Run or Royal American Management, which one obviously operates the other? But are we talking about living at Honors Run?
Yes.
Thank you for providing the information.
Yeah, so thank you, Michelle.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
Vice Chair. So just out of the abundance of caution, one of the things that this board wants to always make sure we uphold the integrity of the board. So I applaud the Vice Chair for even bringing this to our attention. And so we want to make sure that there's no conflict there on her part or our part. And we always want to make sure we're giving you the best decision and representation that we can. So thank you for understanding that. And again, I appreciate the Vice Chair for even bringing it to our attention. That speaks a lot about her as an individual as well to even do so. So thank you all. Hopefully to see you back, but I do apologize for it, but I do want to make sure that we do it in abundance of caution, okay?
I'll be sure to notify you as well as the respondent of the next meeting so that you're aware and you decide if you would like to attend.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So we appreciate it. And sorry that you guys came all the way down here and then we're having to refer the case, but just to be on the fair side of everything. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay or not. It's up to you. All right, so we will go on to the next case on the agenda. It's EOE-2022-27.
Chair, the Equity and Inclusion Office has provided the members of the Human Rights Board a written report concerning complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-27. We have processed the complaint as required by Chapter 8 of the city's code. We are here today to report our findings as to whether reasonable cause exists to believe that an unlawful discriminatory practice has occurred in accordance with the City of Gainesville's Code of Ordinance, Section 8-67(a). We are now ready to report the results of our findings concerning complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-27.
Members of the board, thank you for your presence and participation. ACFH received a copy of the final investigative report for complaint EO-E-2022-27, and I have time to review the findings. I will now summarize the findings as it relates to this case. Complainant's allegation. Complainant believes he was removed from the culinary training program due to his race, black. Respondent's position. Respondent stated complainant was removed from the culinary training program for threatening behavior and a history of violent threats in the organization. Summary of investigation findings. To establish a prima facie case for race discrimination, complainant must show that 1, he is a member of a protected class, that he experienced an adverse action, and 3, that he was treated differently or less favorably than similarly situated individuals not in his protected class under similar circumstances. Complainant is a member of a protected class based on his race. Therefore, the first element was met. The second element was met as complainant experienced an adverse action when he was removed from the culinary training program. Regarding the third element, complainant explained that he believed he was discriminated against because of his race when he was removed from the culinary training program. However, the investigation showed complainant was removed from the culinary training program and banned from volunteering in the kitchen for threats of violence. The investigation shows complainant made verbal threats against employees and residents during his time at the program. Witness explained that complainant was allowed to participate in a residential program even though complainant has a history of threats and attempted assault on employees and program participants. Specifically, the decision to remove complainant from the culinary training program was based on the history of violence, not race. Also, me and the Carmen explained the comparator, a white employee, had no record of violence or threats to employee or program participants. Based on the totality of evidence or lack thereof, there is no evidence that the respondent's action was discriminatory. Therefore, based on the foregoing, there is no reasonable cause to believe the respondent violated the City of Gainesville Code of Ordinances, Section 8-678.
As indicated in our written report, we have determined that there is not sufficient information that would lead an impartial observer to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. So first, if you do not believe that there is reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred, the Equal Opportunity Director must dismiss the complaint. 2, you also have the discretion to, by a 3/4 majority vote, order such further investigation as deemed necessary. Or 3, your decision should be based on the evidence of record. Chair, as required, we have provided the board with evidence concerning our investigation of complaint of discrimination in EO-E-2022-27. You must now decide based on that investigation and evidence of record.
Thank you very much. The members of the board, you have had the opportunity to read the investigative report concerning the complaint of discrimination EOE-2022-27 and heard the summary of that report provided by compliance investigator. What questions, if any, do you have concerning the report? And reminder to direct any questions to the chair. Anyone have any questions?
No questions.
No? Okay. Are there any parties of interest, the complainant or respondent, to speak on behalf of this case online? And there's no one here in the audience, okay. So the Equal Opportunity Director has determined that there is not sufficient information that would lead an impartial observer to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. You should vote aye if you agree that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. You should vote nay if you believe that further investigation is deemed necessary. The board shall specify the areas of further investigation if by a 3/4 majority vote, further investigation is deemed necessary. Do I have a motion on the matter to vote?
I motion to accept the compliance office's findings in this matter.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, the board has voted that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred. All right, okay. That's right. Thank you. It's like a mysterious person turning the mic on for me. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion before us.
All in favor?
So all in favor for this motion, say aye. Aye. Any not in favor, say nay. All right, the motion is passed for all in favor. The board has voted that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred in this case.
The board has determined that there is no reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory practice has occurred, and I shall dismiss the complaint.
Next on the agenda for today, we have board member comments. Any comments or questions about anything? Cases or agenda or questions? No? Okay. So our next meeting date is October 19th, 2022. That's the end of the agenda. Call for adjournment. All right, meeting is adjourned.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, we have a motion to adjourn? I mean, I can't just declare adjourned.
I know.
You have a motion to adjourn the meeting for today?
I motion to adjourn.
All right, do you have a second?
Second.
All vote in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, meeting is adjourned officially.